Welcome to Fenway Park as we get ready for the middle game of a three-game series between the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo along with Jerry Remy. Welcome to Red Sox baseball. Well, the Red Sox certainly have had their trouble with the American League East, but as part of our core's cold hard facts, Jerry, they've had a lot of trouble with the O's.
The Orioles have been a big problem for the Red Sox for the last few years, and especially this year. The Red Sox record only 3-8 so far against Baltimore, and you see the Red Sox only hitting .220 against Oriole pitching this season, a 5.59 team ERA for the Red Sox, an opponent's average of 3.07. Red Sox 0-4 in June against Baltimore. And, you know, we talked so much about the problems the Red Sox have had against all of the East, but they've really had their problems with Baltimore. Baltimore looks like a great club every time they play the Red Sox.
Well, offensively, Pablo Sandoval's got it going on for the Red Sox. Had a good night last night, a 3-hit attack last night for Pablo. In fact, since June the 5th, he's hit it .420 for the Red Sox. He's back in the Red Sox starting lineup tonight. We're back with more from Fenway right after this. Night as the Red Sox and Orioles play Game 2 of this three-game series tonight from Fenway Park. Welcome back inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo. Well, Clay Buchholz on the mound tonight for the Red Sox, a winner last time out against the Atlanta Braves. He went 7 innings, giving up 2 runs. Neither were earned. He's part of our Honda Key matchup tonight, and he's done well against the Baltimore Orioles over the course of his career. He's 9-5 in 17 starts against the O's, a 3.81 earned run average, second most career wins against any opponent. The only opponent he has won more against is the Toronto Blue Jays. Well, some lineup changes tonight for the Red Sox. To explain with more, here is Garrett Austin.
Thanks, Don. Mike Napoli is out of the lineup tonight in part because manager John Farrell wanted to get another left-handed bat in to face Bud Norris. But with Napoli striking out 4 times last night and his season average dropping below 200, manager John Farrell said his struggles are surprising, but they are not turning away from him. They're here to help him get through this.
This is surprising. There's got to be swing and miss with Mike. We know that. That's part of his makeup as a player, as a performer, with the power you're going to get. But you could also look to 4 years ago. There was a year similar to what is unfolding right now. So, and that's been a lower average, but high number of home runs. And we're certainly not turning away from Mike. We're here to help him get through this.
Mike Napoli will be on the bench to begin the ball game. It'll be Clay Buchholz on the hill when we come back on a beautiful night from Boston. The first pitch is next. Get to Nissan's ride of your life for exciting performance and bonus cash. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. And by the Scion TC. Welcome back to Fenway Park. A beautiful night tonight from Fenway as the Red Sox and Baltimore Orioles play Game 2 of this 3-game series. Red Sox fans making their way in, and making his way onto the field right now is Clay Buchholz along with his teammates. As the Red Sox take the field to check out the Orioles starting lineup, it's brought to you by New England Chevy dealers. Manny Machado leading it off at third base with Chris Parmelee, the former Minnesota Twin, in right field. Jimmy Paredes is the DH with Chris Davis at first base. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, moving up in the order. Travis Snyder in left. Ryan Flaherty at second base. Caleb Joseph in there tonight for the Orioles. He'll do the catching. Matt Wieters on the bench to begin the game. And it is David Lowe, had a big 3-run home run last night. Starts again in center field. They're still without Adam Jones. The Red Sox starting pitcher presented by your local New England Audi dealers. Clay Buchholz makes his 15th start of the year. 4-6 with a 3.87 earned run average. 84 strikeouts to 22 walks, and opponents sitting at 264 against Buchholz. A victory last time out against the Atlanta Braves. 7 innings, 2 runs, but they were unearned runs. He struck out 3 along the way.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, and they are 9th in the American League with 42 errors in 72 games. Pablo Sandoval will be at third base. Sander Bogart's the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second, and Brock Holt gets a start at first base tonight. Left to right, Hanley Ramirez, Mookie Betts, and Alejandro De Aza. And Sandy Leon doing the catching for Clay Buchholz.
Tonight's umpires are brought to you by Buick. Experience a new Buick lineup during this year's Sign and Drive. See your local Buick dealer today. Todd Tickner has the plate tonight, calling the balls and strikes with the crew chief Tim Welke at first base, Mike Everett at second base, and Tim Timmons, the umpire, at third. Where available, this telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your television remote. Enjoy the game.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Well, the weather conditions spectacular here tonight. 83 degrees to begin the ball game. Breeze out to right field at 12 miles per hour, and the forecast partly cloudy, but plenty of blue skies here as we begin this contest tonight at Fenway with the lights on. It's time now for tonight's Twisted But True Fact. Clay Buchholz's career in June: 19 starts. He's lost once. 13-1 in 19 starts in June. A 2.61 earned run average, 3 complete games, and a 222 opponent average against him with 90 strikeouts in the month of June. Twisted Tea is the hard iced tea. Tastes like real iced tea. Be a little twisted. Manny Machado standing in to get it started here in the top of the first inning. And the first pitch of the ball game is cranked foul off to the right, out of play. Machado hitting up over 300. The everyday leadoff hitter for the Orioles at 305. A little more pop than you're expecting out of your leadoff hitter. 14 homers. 39 runs batted in for Machado. And he'll line this into center field for a base hit.
Now Machado is hot right now. That's a 6-game hitting streak for him, and in that streak he is 12 for 24. Line shot right back up the middle on the fastball from Clay Buchholz. They wanted to go inside. He get it out over the plate, and up the middle goes Machado. Also can run. 11 steals on the season. Caught 1 time. You see those numbers in the 6-game hitting streak. 13 for 24.
Well, aboard to get things started here in the top half of the first inning. And here is Chris Parmelee getting the start in right field. We said it when we were in Atlanta, but still true. So strange not to see Nick Markakis in right field for the Orioles. Now, remember the Atlanta Braves.
And hitting out of that cleanoff spot against right-handed hitters.
Throw to first, and back to the bag is Machado.
It's the second time Buchholz has faced the Orioles this season. 0-1, but in that game he pitched 6 innings, gave up 11 hits, but only 2 earned runs. Did have 7 strikeouts.
Down and in, sliding to his right is Leon. John Farrell said before the game that Blake Swihart could have started tonight for the Red Sox, but he wants to keep this Buchholz-Leon combination together, and likely we will see Blake Swihart tomorrow in the finale of this 3-game series against Baltimore as we play day baseball here tomorrow. 1-1 pitch. Very high for ball 2. This is the 12th game of 19 between the Red Sox and the Orioles this season. Red Sox only 3-8 against Baltimore so far this year.
I've seen a lot of the Orioles, and we're not even to the All-Star break yet.
In the air, down the left field line, foul into the first row.
You could see Leon that time coming out of his crouch from behind the plate. It was a breaking ball from Buchholz, but what he did see, he saw Machado at first base kind of leaning towards second and acting as if he was going to go, and you can see him come out of the crouch right there expecting to have to throw that ball.
Walking lead at first base for Machado. Held on over there by Holt. On the ground, kind of hooked it foul over by the photographer as well. Another check at first base, and back to the bag is Machado. And Chris Parmelee batting now, brought up on June the 16th from AAA Norfolk. And 61 games this year at AAA. There goes Machado. The throw down is going to be in time. Almost looked like a pitch out. Machado gunned down for the first out of the ball game.
I'll tell you, Sandy Leon has done a great job behind the plate throwing out runners. That's almost like a pitch out right there for him, and waiting at second base is Bogaerts for Machado to get there and apply the tag. A tag up around the shoulder, but before the hand gets to the bag.
And the payoff pitch. Out ahead, fouls it off down the right field line.
We talked about Sandy Leon, and last night throwing out a couple of runners in that game. He's thrown out 58%. That, of course, was a double steal right there as they get the run at home plate. And then the pickoff at first base, a prearranged play. Throw to second base right there, and he's done a great job defensively behind the plate for the Red Sox.
Ninth pitch of the at-bat coming up here for Chris Parmelee, who's done a very good job battling against Buchholz. And a broken bat, one hopper to short. Bogaerts throws out Parmelee, 2 down.
Buchholz got in on Parmelee on that cut fastball, broke the bat, and had the one hopper out to Bogaerts with a lot of spin on it. There you see the cut right at the end, the broken bat, and the second out of the inning.
So 2 down. Jimmy Paredes coming up here for the O's, the designated hitter. 308, 8 homers, and 34 runs batted in for the DH. 3-game hitting streak coming in. 6 for his last 13. And a swing and a miss on the breaking ball. .462 in the last 3 games for him. Sits safely in 38 of 50 games so far in the year for the O's.
Good curveball. First 2 pitches for Buchholz off speed to Paredes. A changeup and then the curveball. There you see the breakdown for Clay Buchholz. More changeups than curveballs.
Hooked into right field for a base hit. Over is De Aza. Paredes will hold on with a single with 2 down here in the inning. Second hit for the Orioles in this first inning.
Now tries to go soft with 3 pitches, a changeup, a curveball, then followed by another changeup, and this time Paredes able to reach across the plate and hook it into right field for the base hit. Hustling over is De Aza, and they hold him to a single. Now they'll put the shift on for Chris Davis.
Pablo Sandoval going to the right side of the infield. Only Bogart's on the left side. Davis out of the cleanup spot. 15 home runs on the year, 40 RBIs. Davis will take strike 1. Grabs that inside corner on him. Throw to first, and back to the bag is Paredes. The lead was not terribly large. A stutter step to get back. 3 thefts on the year and 5 attempts for Paredes. He's at first with 2 down in the first. Inside out swing and a foul off to the left. Well, join the 2020 Club and enjoy an affordable, fun night at Fenway Park. Groups of 20 or more start at $20 each. Visit redsox.com/groups for more information. A beautiful night here tonight at Fenway Park. 83 degrees to start the ball game.
Yeah, it's about as good as it gets, isn't it?
Beautiful. A little high to Davis, and it's 1-2. See his hit direction. All base hits this year for him. The shift on. Able to get through that shift 46% of the time. That is high for ball 2. 2-2 in that same spot.
With the fastball inside.
A little bit high on a full count. They've been ahead 0-2. Full count now. And the next pitch will be the 20th of this first inning for Clay Buchholz.
How about that number right there from Alex Spear? Pretty impressive, the combination of Buchholz and Sandy Leon.
And largely the reason that John Farrell did not want to mess with that tonight. So Leon back there again tonight. Outside, not close for ball 4. And down to first base goes Davis. First walk allowed by Buchholz. Celebrity Cruises, the official cruise line of the Red Sox, join Red Sox legends Louis Tiant, Jim Rice, Steve Lyons, and more on January 9th as they sail the Caribbean on Celebrity's 2016 Red Sox fan cruise. Space is limited. Call 1-888-727-4907 or contact your travel agent today. 2 on, 2 down here in the Orioles first inning, and here is J.J. Hardy. On the ground to shortstop. Bogarts is there. Will go the easy way to second. And Buchholz out of the first inning without allowing a run. Red Sox coming up. Inning. Red Sox coming up in the bottom of the first, and the Red Sox lineup is brought to you by your Eastern Hyundai dealers. Mookie Betts leading it off and in center field, with Brock Holt getting the start at first base, batting second. Dustin Pedroia third at second base, with David Ortiz the DH. Hanley Ramirez in left field, with Xander Bogaerts at shortstop. Pablo Sandoval bats out of the 7th spot, with Alejandro De Aza in right field, and Sandy Leon doing the catching, batting ninth. Bud Norris ready here to work to Mookie Betts. And Betts will take strike one. The Orioles starting pitcher, presented by New England Nissan dealers. Norris's 10th start of the year, 2-5 with a 7.57 earned run average. 32 strikeouts to 17 walks, and opponent's hitting at 306 against Norris. Last time out, a loss against Philadelphia, although he pitched well, 6 innings, giving him 2 runs. He resides in Houston, Texas, where he had pitched at one point. Mookie Betts hitting at 278, 8 homers, 33 runs batted in. To right field, Parmalee on the move, and he'll get there for the first out of the bottom of the first inning.
The Orioles defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They are the best in the American League at 32 errors on the season. Manny Machado at third base, J.J. Hardy the shortstop, Ryan Flaherty at second, and Chris Davis the first baseman. Left to right, Travis Snyder, David Lowe, and Chris Parmalee, and Caleb Joseph doing the catching for Bud Norris.
Buck Showalter's team coming in at 37-33. They're 2.5 games back of the Tampa Bay Rays to start the day. In Baltimore, playing good baseball, as this pitch is in there for strike one. Again, they're without Adam Jones. Shoulder has been a problem and has not played in each of the first 2 games of this series. 0-1 to Holt. He is on the ground slowly to Flaherty at second base, and just in time to get Brock Holt 2 down.
This is the 7th career start against the Red Sox for Norris. He is 2-2 with a 3.52 ERA. He got a win earlier this season against Boston. That was a 12-3 win.
Pedroia 306, 9 homers, 31 runs batted in, as he will take a pitch high for ball 1. Two-0 pitch to Pedroia, and that'll miss down and away. So 3-0 now to Pedroia.
Fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. All 4 pitches from Bud Norris.
He is 1-3 against the American League East with a 10.73 earned run average against AL East foes. On the road, he is 1-4 with a 7.23 earned run average. Some tough numbers, but a good first inning, it appears. 5-3 on the putout. A 1-2-3 first. Scoreless through 1 from Fenway. ballpark with your Wally doll.
Yeah, pink hats, Wally doll. Beautiful night. Warm temperatures, low humidity.
Second inning, Travis Snyder leads it off. Clay Buchholz with a curveball in there for strike one. Snyder at .277, 2 homers, 18 runs batted in. Swing at a foul tip for strike two. Some tough numbers against Clay Buchholz in his career. A lot of that coming as a member of the Toronto Blue Jays. Told you about Tim Buchholz's numbers against the Jays. And a swing and a miss. Got away briefly from Leone. He clears the runner and throws out Snyder. First strikeout for Clay Buchholz.
A good curveball here from Buchholz, and you'll see after the play as it hits the dirt, Leone gets himself in a position behind the base runner to throw to first base, and Brock Holt makes that adjustment at first base, and they pick up the out.
One down here in the second inning. First K of the night for Buchholz, and here is Ryan Flaherty. 244, 3 homers, and 16 runs batted in for Flaherty. Buchholz 9-5 in his career against Baltimore. A 3.81 earned run average. Last started against Baltimore here at Fenway back on April 18th. Took the loss, 6 innings, 2 runs. A 2.78 earned run average against Baltimore at Fenway. It's his best mark at home against anybody. That just misses away. I'm going to check. Did he go? No, says Tim Timmons. Tim Timmons, who had the plate last night, and of course ejected John Farrell from last night's contest.
And a good call that time by Timmons. No swing there from Flaherty.
John had the pleasure of watching the rest of the game on Nesson. 2-1 pitch is into right field for a base hit for Ryan Flaherty. So a 1-out single, third hit allowed by Clay Buchholz on the night. Gulf Electricity, they're powering Fenway, the home of the Red Sox, and they can power your home for less too. Visit gulfelectricity.com today. 1 out, 1 on, and it brings up Caleb Joseph. Joseph at .241 with 5 homers and 21 runs batted in. Low throw to first, but dug out by Holt. Flaherty back to the bag.
Now, Flaherty does not have a steal yet on the season. Has not attempted one.
That'll pick up the inside corner. Caleb Joseph did the bulk of the catching while Matt Wieters was out with the Tommy John surgery. Did a good job. Tail end of last year, the beginning of this year. Wieters very much back and playing very well. So Joseph's time has been diminished as he takes that pitch in the dirt. 1-1. Likes playing at Fenway Park. .375 average. A couple of home runs, 6 RBIs. To right field, De Aza coming in, and he'll make the catch. A chance for 2. Throw to first is not in time. Back to the bag. He is Flaherty. He saw that developing in front of him and ends up going to first base, trying to double off Flaherty a little bit late.
Yeah, just a little bloop, but playing shallow was De Aza out there in right field and almost had the double play, the quick release, but not quite in time to get Flaherty. You see where De Aza started from, and he was not deep at all with Joseph at the plate. Looked like on contact that ball might have a chance to drop in, but then you look up and you see De Aza right there.
So 2 down, Flaherty at first base, and here is David Lowe. Of course, had a big 3-run home run, part of a 4-run attack for the Orioles, who took a 4-0 lead early in last night's game. Home run last night for Lowe. His 4th of the year. 12 RBIs, 226 average. He had a walk-off home run against Koji Uehara, Camden Yards in Baltimore. So he has been a bit of a nemesis for the Red Sox. Guy who's generally a late-inning defensive replacement or a pinch-running replacement for Buck Showalter.
You're talking about the ejection last night, and it was kind of a strange one because it happened between innings. Here's the pitch to Holt that was outside, and of course Brock didn't like it. In between innings, John Farrell having words with Timmons, the home plate umpire. He told him that's enough. Stop. Kept going, and he threw him out. So then John came out and had his piece. And then, as you mentioned, watched the rest of the game on Nesson.
I asked him how he liked it. He said, so you're a doctor, huh? I said, yeah. John, he's now been ejected twice this week. He'd been ejected in Kansas City and ejected here last night. But yeah, he caught our act for the last 3 innings of last night's ball game.
Now, some managers go back to their office and watch the game from the office. Some managers hover in the tunnel. They're not supposed to do that, but they do it.
For the first, and back to the bag is Flaherty. David Lowe batting with 2 down. Ryan Flaherty at first base. Pretty short lead for Flaherty. Jammed on the hands and fouled off to the left. 2-2. Some day baseball today. The Yankees won 10-2 over Philadelphia, and Toronto beat Tampa Bay 1-0 in day baseball. Strike 3 call. Buchholz picks up his second strikeout. It ends the top of the second inning. We are scoreless from the fence. And the city of Boston are hosting a free Red Sox watch party for kids and families on the Boston Common. Watch the game on the big screen. Try your hand at the Steel Home Challenge and grab some food, and it's all free. Bottom of the second inning, David Ortiz leading it off. Ortiz, Ramirez, and Bogaerts to bat here in the second inning. But Norris had a 1-2-3 first. In there for a strike. David was backing out as look at the shift on the right side for the O's with Flaherty in right.
Well, it's interesting to watch that outfield for the Baltimore Orioles. They shift on almost every single count.
Strike two, same spot.
See that pinch outfield again. Everybody very close together. They leave the lines wide open.
That'll bounce in for ball two. Ortiz 0 for 4 in the ball game last night with a walk. So Hanley Ramirez waiting on deck behind him. Two. And jumps back out of the way of a pitch down and in. David hitting at .284 against right-handed pitching, and all 10 of his home runs off right-handers on the year. Foul ball off to the left. David taking a little inventory on the bat.
That last fastball, 95 miles an hour from Norris. See the fastball here from Norris and fouled off down that third base line. That was a good fastball to hit.
David strikes out on a fastball headed down and in at 95. And there's the first strikeout for Bud Norris of his outing.
It goes from middle of the plate. This ball's supposed to be away, but it goes down and in, as you mentioned, Doctor, and it's going to be the strikeout against Ortiz. You see where Joseph was set up. He wanted that ball away, but it kind of cut the plate. Still a good result for Bud Norris.
One down here in the second inning for Hanley Ramirez. Hanley at .277 to start the night. 15 homers, 38 runs batted in. That was his last 13 home games, sitting at .353. Comes in with a 4-game hitting streak, 7 for his last 15. Couple of hits here last night in game 1 of the series. And a chopper right side and through into right field for a base hit. First base runner of the night for Boston. Well, tonight's poll question is brought to you by the Scion TC. Which aspect of Bogart's development is more impressive? Text Sox 1 for offense. Text Sox 2 for defense. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. One message per vote. Visit NESN.com/terms for terms and conditions and privacy policy.
That's a tough one to answer, isn't it? Offense or defense for Xander Bogaerts. Both have been terrific this season.
I would say most improved is defense.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Xander with a swing and miss for strike one. It's down to Brian Butterfield with a runner at first, 1 out. See if anything's on. Orioles infield at double play depth. And Bogaerts down 0-2.
2 strikes on Bogaerts. Outfield shifting again. They'll move a little bit more to their right. Or to our right, I should say, their left.
Close pitch, called a ball. And it's 1-2 to Bogaerts. .287, 3 homers, 30 runs batted in for Bogaerts. Did not have a hit in last night's game, 0 for 4 in the first game of the series. Thought about it, but didn't go. 25th pitch for Norris, and that'll miss. Full count.
Let's see now if they send Hanley on the 3-2 count with 1 out. Big hole for Bogaerts on that right side.
Hanley does go, and here's a ground ball right to where Flaherty was going. Second baseman will turn it into 2 and end the second inning. It was fortunate for the Red Sox. No score through 2. Third inning, and it's the top of the Orioles order. Manny Machado getting it off here for the O's. Sharply hit, nicely picked by Sandoval down at third, and he throws out Machado. Nice play by Pablo Sandoval.
Let's go back to the first strikeout for Buchholz. He's got 2 on the 9, and it's against Travis Snyder. There was certainly a plan here, and it was breaking balls. A breaking ball away to get the first strike, then they go inside. That's more of a cutter, I believe, that time from Buchholz. And then the third pitch, a curveball at the bottom of the strike zone. So off-speed pitches, certainly the plan against Travis Snyder there.
One down here in the third inning for Chris Parmelee. He bounced out to the shortstop Xander Bogaerts in the first inning. And takes strike 1. Parmelee breaking into the big leagues with the Minnesota Twins in 2011. Parts of 4 years with Minnesota. 87 total games last year. Hitting a .256 with the Twins. First year with the Orioles. Red Sox suites and premium packages provide a VIP experience for you and your guests. Call 877 Red Sox 9 or email premiumsales@redsox.com for more information. 1-2 pitch to Chris Parmelee. And there is strike 3. That's a third strikeout for Clay Buchholz. 2 down.
Good pitch. The two-seam fastball from Buchholz starts out inside, comes back to pick up the plate, and just kind of freezes Parmelee. He thought that ball was inside, but it had the corner. Strikeout high in the season for Buchholz is 11. He did that in a no decision against Seattle at Seattle.
2 down here in the third, 4 in a row retired by Buchholz, and Brings up Jimmy Paredes, a DH who singled to right field in the first inning. Well, he lines this towards the gap in right center field. That'll get down, but De Aza gets over there quickly to cut it off and hold him to a single with 2 outs in the inning. DraftKings.com is paying over $300 million this baseball season. DraftKings has given out $34 million to Boston residents alone since the site launched. Get your free entry into a one-day fantasy baseball contest today using promo code NESSN. That's NESSN at DraftKings.com. Two outs, Jimmy Paredes at first base and Chris Davis. He'll take strike one. Davis walked in the first. The only free pass served up by Buchholz so far. Jimmy Paredes at first now. 2 for 2. Both of his hits going to right field. Swing and a miss. Davis down 1-2.
You're talking about Paredes, Don, and he has really done well against Buchholz. He is now 4 for 5 in his career against Clay.
Seems like he's done well against the Red Sox every time we've seen him.
You're exactly right.
Looking at the big leagues with the Houston Astros. In the air to center field. Mookie Betts moving over and taking care of out number 3. 2.5 in the books. No score from Fenway. Sports streaming source. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. What do you think this is about, Jerry?
I don't know. That happened between innings. I don't know. Buchholz just walking over, having a short conversation with Carl Willis and John Farrell. Nothing wrong with what he's doing right now, that's for sure.
Pablo Sandoval leading it off here in the bottom of the third inning. Fights this one off foul, running in on him 94 miles an hour. Pablo's down 0-2. Pablo raising his average from 239 up to 279 in the last 13 games. He's hit at 420 since May the 23rd. Last 10 games at 462 for Sandoval. And a 7-game hitting streak snapped in which he'd gone 14 for 28. 0-2 pitch. Not chasing that. Man, it's a ball and 2 strikes. Three hits in last night's game. In the air to shallow center field as David Lowe will make the catch for the first out of the 3rd inning.
Well, let's see how Norris went after Sandoval, a hot hitter in that at bat. The first couple of pitches were up in the zone. First pitch was a changeup that stayed upstairs. Then they followed with a fastball that was fouled off. Then they go out of the strike zone once they're ahead with 2 strikes. The fastball away, a changeup away, and then they come with the breaking ball that's going to be inside. So they get ahead of them, then they go off the plate, both outside and inside against Sandoval.
One down for Alejandro De Aza. Right fielder for the Red Sox at 228. 3 homers, 12 runs batted in. He was a member of this Baltimore Orioles team to begin the year. Designated for assignment. In the air to right field. Parmalee started back, now comes in, has time to recover, and handles out number 2. Let's send it down to Guerin.
Hey, thanks, Don. As you mentioned, catcher Blake Swihart is expected back in the lineup tomorrow. Manager John Farrell said he's responded well to treatment. And catcher Ryan Hannigan is on a rehab assignment in Pawtucket. He caught 5 innings on Monday and served as the DH on Tuesday. He will be back behind the plate tomorrow. Hannigan has been on the 60-day DL since May 1st with a broken knuckle. Don Farrell expects him to be ready the day he's eligible to come off the DL, July 1st.
All right, Guerin, thanks very much. Yeah, the Pawtucket Red Sox will have both Ryan Hannigan and Shane Victorino. A couple of rehabbing Red Sox. Sandy Leon will take the strike. Apparently, when Pawtucket goes on the road, then they will shift to Portland.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like Victorino is going to be back until the Red Sox get back off the next road trip. But they want to make sure that he can play 9 innings and do it 2 or 3 days in a row.
Fastball gets the attention of Leon. 171 batting average for the Red Sox catcher. Evens at 2-2. Orioles have done this in this series, shifting on Leon on the right side of the infield. That slightly open stance, and he fouls it off the shoe top. Still 2-2. Well, Saturday on Dining Playbook, Billy Costa and Jenny Johnson come to you from a vineyard in Little Compton, Rhode Island. Plus, hear from Red Sox pitcher Justin Masterson. Don't miss Dining Playbook Saturday morning at 9.
Little Compton's a great little place.
In there for strike 3, Leon knew it. Takes with him the second strikeout for Bud Norris. Through 3, no score. Batting 100 is no fun, but getting 100 feels great, especially when all you have to do to get $100 is open an Eastern free checking account. Learn more at easternbank.com/free checking. Fourth inning, and a first pitch ball to J.J. Hardy. Shortstop for the O's, grounded into a fielder's choice in the first inning. No score as we start this fourth inning. And the strike at the top of the zone evens a count of 1-1. On the ground to Pedroia at second base, positioned perfectly for the first out of the inning. Well, this summer, pump up with Irving Oil. You can win a Ford Escape, a Can-Am Spyder, $5,000 in cash, or other great instant prizes. Visit a participating Irving Oil and IrvingFun.com for details. One out in the fourth for Travis Snyder. Struck out swinging in the second inning. 3 strikeouts on the night for Clay Buchholz. 50th pitch for Buchholz. And it is fouled off. A lot of spin on that down the third baseline foul.
Isn't that nice? Look at everything. He's got a hat and the pen, the glove, and now a baseball, Red Sox shirt. A nice blue glove.
Off the glove of Buchholz. Pedroia racing in, but will not have a play. Threw it anyway, but beating it out is Travis Snyder. Buchholz getting a piece of that to slow it up, and Pedroia did not have time to make that play.
I tried the curveball again against Snyder, but this time right back up the middle off the glove of Clay Buchholz. He had a pretty decent hop, but that ball was hit pretty hard. And then by the time Pedroia makes the off-balance throw to first base, Snyder is going to be safe. So he gets his second career hit off Clay Buchholz.
One out, one on. Ryan Flaherty single to right field in the second inning. Now ground ball to first. Holt off his glove will tag first and throw to second. Becomes a tag play, and he is out. Double play. Nicely done by Holt, especially where he didn't play it cleanly initially. $100. Just open an Eastern free checking account the month of June and you'll get $100. Learn more at easternbank.com/free checking.
Great instincts by Brock Holt over at first base on this double play. First is going to go off his glove, but he picks it up, checks where the runner is, knows he has time to touch first, and look at Bogaerts also doing his job by getting to the inside of that bag so the throw does not hit the runner in the back. So little small things, but very effective for the Red Sox. The reflexes by Brock Holt at the first base, and then Bogaerts doing his job by setting up inside, and the Red Sox pick up the double play. Became a tag play at second.
Now Mookie Betts getting a second look at Bud Norris, second time through for the Red Sox against Norris tonight. Betts flied out to the right fielder Chris Parmelee in the first. Popped up into shallow right. Flaherty backpedaling. The second baseman will make the catch for the first out of the bottom of the fourth inning. Well, Nesson is proud to support the National Suit Drive in July. When you make a donation of gently used professional clothing at any Men's Warehouse location, you help unemployed men and women look their best as they re-enter the workforce. Learn more at nationalsuitdrive.com. One out in the fourth inning for Brock Holt. Brock grounded out to the second baseman, Ryan Flaherty, in the first. Holt so far 0 for 5 in the series. Some alarming numbers for Norris coming in, but he has looked good so far.
Yeah, and he kind of puts those aside against the Red Sox. You know, you look at his numbers, you're not impressed. But then you look at the numbers against the Red Sox, and he's always pitched very well against them.
A little bit low, 3-1. Roya waiting on deck. One out here in the bottom of the fourth inning. There's a strike and a full count now to Brock Holt.
Good pitch there on the 3-1 count, going to the outside corner. Not a pitch that Holt wants to swing at on a 3-1 count. He's looking for the ball right down the middle of the plate and doesn't get it there.
And a walk for Brock Holt with one out here in the fourth inning. First walk allowed by Bud Norris. Get immediate care without leaving the ballpark at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center First Aid Station, located behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. BIDMC is the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox.
Well, the Red Sox have been able to get nothing going here early in the game. Only one hit. Let's see if they try something in this bat with Pedroia, whether it be a stolen base by Holt or attempted steal, or maybe a hit and run. Farrell to Butterfield to the hitter and base runner.
First, and back is Holt. Held on over there by Chris Davis. In the air to left center field. Back goes David Lowe. He'll make the catch for the second out, and back to the bag at first goes Holt. So now 2 down here in the fourth inning. Toyo Tires, the official tire of the Boston Red Sox. Whether you're taking your truck off-road, the kids to practice, or your sports car to its limits, there's a Toyo Tire for you. Visit toyotires.com to find a dealer near you. 2 down here in the 4th inning with Brock Holt at first base. And here is David Ortiz, a strikeout victim in the 2nd inning. One of 2 strikeouts tonight for Bud Norris. On the ground and into the shift. It's Flaherty in right field who's going to throw him out. So the shift working out great for the Orioles, not so much for Big Papi. Scoreless through 4. Into the 5th inning we go, and leading it off for the Orioles is Caleb Joseph. And David Lowe and Manny Machado be along here in the 5th. Clay Buchholz is 53rd pitch of his outing. Second time Joseph has faced Buchholz in the game. Fly to right. 0 for 1. Buchholz has not lost a game in June. Last loss he had was in May 26th at Minnesota. Since then, 2 wins, 2 no decisions. Well, check swing grounder foul outside of first base. And now the longest tenured member of the Red Sox pitching staff, now in his 9th major league season. Balls and a strike to Caleb Joseph. On deck is David Lowe. Orioles out hitting the Red Sox right now 5-1 as they bat here in the 5th. And a foul tip makes it a full count.
Yeah, back to the cut fastball on the 3-1 count. No straight fastball from Buchholz, the cutter. See the little movement right at the end, and it is elevated a bit, but still no contact.
Jammed and fouls it back. You'll see a 7th pitch in this at bat. Buchholz did not throw 100 pitches last time out and ended up throwing 92 in his 7-inning effort against the Atlanta Braves.
That's a game there, too, where he was really under the weather.
Fouls it off himself, and it remains 3-2.
See Buchholz there shaking off a number of signs, and he finally got the one he wanted, the cut fastball inside, but fouled off by Caleb Joseph. Trying to have the right-hander give up on that pitch and pick up the inside corner. Back to the curveball.
And a grounder foul outside of third. Well, don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings live right after tonight's game. Adam Pellerin and Steve Lyons will break down the game, and you'll hear from Clay Buchholz and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Who but WB Mason? Payoff pitch again to Caleb Joseph. And a swing and a foul tip for strike three. Fourth strikeout for Clay Buchholz. One down here in the fifth.
Buchholz shaking off the changeup, wants to go back to the cut fastball, does, and picks up the strikeout. Just a little bit above the belt that time. And the foul tip right into the glove of Sandy Leon.
Now, coming up after the third out of this inning, we'll have stats, facts, and fantasy numbers from around Major League Baseball. So you want to be sure and stay with us at the end of this inning. One out in the fifth. And David Lowe takes strike one at the top of the zone. Grounder foul over by the on deck circle. 0-2 now to Lowe. Ace Ticket has the best seats at the lowest prices to all the games at Fenway, all with a 200% guarantee. Right now, Ace Ticket has special savings on all Red Sox games, including the Yankees. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Clay Buchholz. 5 in all. 2 down.
That's second time he has got Lowe tonight. First time on a fastball. This time he gets him on a changeup. Keeping that changeup down. Off the outside edge. There you see the changeup grip, and watch the action on it as it runs away from David Lowe.
Mika Insurance, great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance. Here is Manny Machado. Machado has singled to center. Was caught trying to steal 2-6 and then grounded out to third base in the third inning. His counterpart, Pablo Sandoval. Machado still just 22 years old. One pitch. On the ground towards Bogarts at shortstop. His throw in time. Inning over. Let's take a look at the Red Sox box score. happen all season long. Geico will highlight the 1975 Red Sox in honor of their 40th anniversary. In their 73rd game of the 75 season, the Red Sox lost to the Orioles 10-6. Bernie Carbo went 2 for 2 with a home run for the Red Sox. Bottom of the 5th inning at Fenway. Hanley Ramirez leading it off in a scoreless contest. And a grounder back up the middle, and that'll get into center field. Hanley Ramirez is 2 for 2. He's got the only Red Sox hits on the night off Bud Norris.
Has got 9 hits now in his last 17 at bats, a 5-game hitting streak. Actually hit the first one harder than that one, but good direction right up the middle. Nobody could get a glove on it, so Hanley picks up his 25th 2-hit game of the season.
Lead runner on for the Red Sox for the first time in tonight's game. Leads us to Xander Bogaerts. Grounded into a double play in the 2nd inning. Bogaerts now, Sandoval next. Chopped off the plate, foul down the 3rd baseline. Bogaerts wasn't sure where it went. Right now you can get up to 60 months with no interest on anything in Jordan's Furniture. Furnish one room or your entire home. Best of all, you'll get to enjoy it right now. Visit Jordans.com for details. Hanley Ramirez at first base to begin the bottom of the 5th inning. Xander Bogaerts down 0-2. Runner goes at first, and this will hit the runner. So Hanley Ramirez will be out. A base hit for Xander Bogaerts, and Red Sox will hit and run, and Hanley Ramirez gets hit.
Looks like it got him right in the wrist, too. A line shot. And there was absolutely nothing Hanley Ramirez could do about that. He takes a peek back. All of a sudden, he sees the baseball coming, and it got him in his left hand. Well, that is strange. So Hanley's automatically out, and Bogaerts gets first base. Most of the time when you see those things happen, it's on a ground ball. Very seldom a line drive.
Right down the tunnel to get checked on and see if he returns to this game. Pablo Sandoval sends the first pitch foul off to the left. That was pretty well hit, too.
Yeah, that was a line shot, and they got him. Looks like it got him square on the side of the hand or the wrist. Oof. He'll be lucky if he doesn't have a broken bone in there.
Low and away, a ball and a strike here to Sandoval, getting a second look at Bud Norris tonight. Sandoval flied out to the center fielder David Lowe in the 3rd inning. On the ground to second base, could be 2. Flaherty to second for 1, on to first for 2. Second double play. Red Sox have grounded into tonight. We're through 5 with no score. Red Sox baseball on Nesson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. A beautiful night tonight in Boston. Game time temperature was 83 degrees. Chris Parmelee leads it off here for the Orioles, and a swing and a miss for strike one. Well, the injury to Hanley Ramirez, leaving after being hit on the hand on the line drive. It is now Holton left and Mike Napoli in at first. No one to Parmelee. Just missed. 1-1. Parmelee 0 for 2 tonight. He's grounded out to shortstop and struck out looking. That's a strike, and it's 1-2 again at the top of the zone.
That two-seam fastball that time from Buchholz at the top of the zone. Runs the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes. He wanted that down and in, but it stayed upstairs, but still no swing.
Liner the other way, and that's in for a hit. Brock Holt over to cut it off by the garage door, and he goes in hard to the wall. Heading for second is Parmelee, and he'll get there. A double for Parmelee to begin things here in the 6th inning.
Well, Parmelee slicing that ball down in the left field corner. A nice effort down there by Holt as he'll smash his face, it looks like, into the padding of the wall, trying to get to it on a slide and get that ball back into second base. There's the slide and smack right in the side of the face. Throw comes in, but it's going to be late at second base, so a leadoff double. Man in scoring position with nobody out.
First extra base hit for either side in this game, and it opens up the top of the 6th inning. Jimmy Paredes, who is 2 for 2, he is singled twice to right field. And a swing and a miss at a pitch headed downward and away. Center fielder Mookie Betts over towards right center. Good sized gap out there in left center. And again staying away. That time was Buchholz. 1-1.
Paredes a very aggressive hitter. First pitch was a changeup. Second pitch a fastball away. See if he'd chase it.
Paredes now. Chris Davis coming up. Getting towards the middle of this order for the O's. Here's a pop-up foul ground. Leon has got to play, and he makes it for the first out of the inning. No advance for the base runner. That's a big out. 1 down. Now, for every Red Sox game that goes into extra innings or the Sox get a save, CVS Pharmacy will make a donation to Children's Hospital towards a $25,000 commitment once again this season. CVS Pharmacy, the official pharmacy of the Boston Red Sox.
A good out right there for the Red Sox. Leave that man at second base and not get him to third with less than 2 outs. Now the Red Sox go into the shift, even with the man in scoring position on Chris Davis.
Bluff by Buchholz off the backside of the hill. Davis walked in the first, flied out to center field in the third. That'll skip in, nicely picked by Leon.
A beautiful play by Leon there, because that ball had backstop written all over it. Has to backhand the ball. Cut fastball in the dirt right there and bounces right back into the glove of Sandy Leon. Nice play.
Swing and a miss. Buchholz with 5 strikeouts on the night. A walk back in the first. Look at the changeup. Davis to center. Betts coming in, and Mookie will have it played on a hop. Parmley's trying to score. Throw the plate is going to be not in time, and the Orioles take a 1-0 lead. Just a flare out to center field for Davis, and it produces an Orioles run as Parmley scores, and Baltimore takes a 1-0 lead.
Now that was a great read at second base by Parmley, because it was hard to tell whether Davis was going to get to this, but he makes a decision that he's not going to get to it, Mookie Betts, and he decides to go. That's the only reason he could score. Throw's going to be late. Parmley in. Orioles have the 1-0 lead, but that was a terrific read at second base, because I couldn't tell from up here if Mookie Betts was going to catch it or not.
So the Orioles strike first here in the top of the 6th inning. 1 out, 1 on. And J.J. Hardy takes strike 1.
That's one thing they tell you all the time with the man at second base, the coaches, make sure you check the outfield and see how far they're playing, how deep they are, and Parmley did his job that time.
J.J. Hardy's grounded into a fielder's choice, grounded out to second base, and getting his third look at Clay Buchholz has just surrendered the game's first run. Check swing on the breaking ball, and it's fouled off.
One more look at that read at second base. You see on contact, he takes a peek back at Betts, and he decides, he makes his decision, and he's not going to catch that, and he just goes for it. And it paid off for him that time.
On the ground towards short, not hit hard. Bogarts will go to second for 1. Throw to first is wild and off the front of the Red Sox dugout. And reaching at first to be Hardy. They do get the lead runner, and Chris Davis for the second out.
And see Bogarts here with the underhand flip, and watch Pedroia come storming across the bag right there and has to jump to get out of the way of Davis to try to make that double play. The throw's going to go wild, but the fence in front of the Red Sox dugout is going to keep it in play. So Hardy does not get in scoring position at second base, has to stop at first.
So 2 down, Hardy at first, and it brings up Travis Snyder. Snyder struck out in the second, reached on an infield hit in the 4th inning. We'll take strike 1. Clay Buchholz's pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. 5 2/3, 7 inches, just the 1 run coming in this inning. After the leadoff double by Parmley, he would score on the RBI single by Chris Davis. Walk 5 Ks. Dealing here with Travis Snyder with 2 down. He went around. They check, and yes, he did, says Tim Timmons.
It looked to me to be also a strike at the top of the strike zone beside the swing.
Broke into the big leagues in 2008. The Toronto Blue Jays was a Blue Jay until 2012, spending the last 2.5 seasons with the Pittsburgh Pirates. First year in Baltimore, and back in the American League East again for Travis Snyder. And a swing and a miss. Buchholz picks up his 6th strikeout. But a run for the Orioles. Baltimore on top 1-0. 16 disciplines for buildings, factories, and homes across the Northeast. Did you know that? Learn more about this proud Red Sox sponsor at FWWeb.com. What do we got going here? Cotton candy, I think. Oh, yeah. Definitely cotton candy. His was kind of like used cotton candy. It was like, it was kind of gross.
It's like it had been in and then back out again.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
New to you, cotton candy?
Yeah. You're a doctor. You should go talk to him about that.
It's very bad for his teeth. Alejandro De Aza leading it off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Flight out to right in the 3rd. 0 for 1. Orioles get a run in the top half of this inning. Two-0 pitch. On the ground to first base. Davis, a bobble. Has time to recover. No, he does not. And stepping on his hand. The pitcher, Norris, was darting back to the bag there and ends up stepping on De Aza's hand. They arrive at the same time, and De Aza beat it.
Well, that's dangerous, boy. Two guys coming to the bag at the same time, and one head first, and De Aza, and the other the pitcher. You can see the bobble right there by Davis. He kind of panics a little bit. Now he's looking for his pitcher, and then he steps right on the hand, it looked like. Yes, right on the fingers of De Aza. Wow.
So error charge to Chris Davis. And Bud Norris right away checking on De Aza.
Let's see how the Red Sox play this now with a man at first base. Will they have Leon bunting? Trying to get a man in a scoring position. I mean, the offense really has been stagnant in this game. See if they try something.
Sandy Leon struck out looking in the 3rd inning. Number 9 man batting here. Go to first and back to the bag, De Aza. 3 out of 5 in stolen base attempts. That was off the glove with Joseph and heading to second base without a problem as De Aza. Flanked off the glove and to his left far enough for De Aza to get into scoring position.
Well, there's a break for the Red Sox. They don't have to use any play at all. It's going to be a changeup that clanks off the glove of Caleb Joseph. And De Aza gets in a scoring position now. You got to move him to third base by pulling the ball to the right side.
Pass ball charged to Joseph that gets De Aza to second base. Now the 1-0 and the bunt, and it's going to be underneath the barehanded Norris, and reaching at first is Leon. He decided to play that barehanded and didn't do it.
Now he had time, it looked like, to go down with his glove, scoop it with his glove, and get the out at first base. They were not going to get De Aza at third. As you can see, he's got that well beat. But if he goes down with his glove, he may have a chance at first base. I think that should probably go as a base hit. We'll see how they rule it.
They ruled it a sacrifice in an E1. So first and third, second error of this inning for the Orioles, and with nobody out, Red Sox have runners at the corners. Now Mookie Betts 0 for 2. He's fly to right, popped out to second base. On the ground and through into right field. A base hit from third comes DeYaza. Red Sox tie the score 1-1. Mookie Betts drives in the tying run.
Well done by Mookie Betts using the opposite field. We have seen more and more on that from him. Fastball away. Instead of trying to pull it, he goes to the opposite field and picks up the RBI and the base hit. Red Sox tie the score.
So a 1-1 ball game now here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Runners at first and second, nobody out.
That is the 34th RBI of the season for Mookie Betts in that leadoff spot. Well, the guy that's actually bounced around in different positions, but a good number for a leadoff hitter right now. Now we'll see how the Red Sox play this with nobody out. First and second. They're bringing in Davis at first base. They're bringing in Machado at third base, so they're expecting a possible bunt from Brock Holt.
Swinging away, and he swings and misses for strike one.
That's kind of the way I was thinking right there. Just let's go for a big inning. Now with the count 0-1, they may change that. Kind of got them on their heels a little bit. Couple of bad plays in the inning, couple of errors.
Swing and a miss. Pitch in under the hands. 0-2.
Slider this time, down and in to Brock Holt.
Leone at second, Betts at first. Still nobody out in the Boston 6th inning. Up and away for ball one. We're still throwing hard. 96 miles an hour on that last delivery. Holt bats now. Pedroia next. A little bit low. Norris's pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. 5+, 4 hits, 1 run. It is unearned thanks to the 2 miscues in this inning. Walk, 2 Ks, and about to throw his 70th pitch. Chris Davis has called time. He's got a glove problem and has just traded gloves. Now heading back to first base with a new glove. Full count, had been 0-2.
Now the question becomes, do you send the runners on the 3-2 count? Try to stay away from a potential double play. Always leery of the strike him out, throw him out at third base.
Ground ball towards first. Davis has got it. He'll flip to Norris for the out. The runners move along.
And the ball not hit hard enough for a double play. Just a chop down at first base. And Davis with his new glove. The only place he can go is to the pitcher covering first. But the Red Sox advance men to second and third. So 2 men in scoring position for Pedroia.
Big spot here. Red Sox have already tied the game here in the 6th inning thanks to an RBI single by Mookie Betts. It's now Leone at third, Betts at second with 1 out. And Pedroia's third look at Bud Norris. He is grounded out to third and flied out to center in the first 2 looks.
See, they were going to go away there. Caleb Joseph was popped to the outside part of the plate, and then when Norris stepped off, he quickly jumped back to the middle so Pedroia couldn't see where he was setting up.
Called the ball, 1-0. David Ortiz waiting on deck, second and third, 1 out now in the inning. Pedroia will take the strike, and it evens at 1-1. First inning, really, the Norris has run into any trouble at all. There have been 2 errors in this inning. Pedroia fouls it off to the right and is down 1-2.
Now, Doctor, you mentioned the 2 errors, and that's unusual for the Orioles. We told you at the beginning of the show that they are the best fielding team in the American League right now.
Yeah, the miscue by Davis at first. Miscue by the pitcher Norris. Both coming in the same inning. It's led to 1 run so far. See if the Red Sox can cash in on the opportunity. Wallace, the pitching coach, looking on. 1-2 pitch. Pedroia takes it, and it's ball 2. Nine of 11 from third with less than 2 outs, 82% of the time, and got Leone at third, Betts at second with 1 out. Pedroia lines it into left field for a base hit. Here comes Leone. Here comes Betts in behind him. And the Red Sox take a 3-1 lead. Pedroia drives in 2. Dustin has done something to himself, grabbing the leg back of the knee area. Drives in 2 runs, but we'll see if he is okay at first base.
Well, here it is. It's a slider that time away. Pedroia reaches out, and we talked about that pinched outfield out there. Now, if they're playing straight up, maybe only 1 run scores, but because they have to go so far to get that ball, no problem for the second run to come across. And Pedroia, is it as he hits first base? It looks like it is. Looks like he was okay until then. Grabbing his right leg.
He is coming out of this game. Get some assistance to the clubhouse. Red Sox have already lost Hanley Ramirez tonight. Travis Shaw pinch running now at first base for Pedroia.
One more look as he hits that bag. He hits it with his left leg, but then it looks like he grabs his right leg, so it might have been the step before he hit the first base bag.
Shift on here in the infield for Ortiz as he takes a pitch outside, ball 1. Jay, if I'm not mistaken, the fluid that he was experiencing was on the other knee.
Yes, the left knee, I believe.
Missed a couple of games, 3 out of 4 for the Red Sox on the trip.
That seemed to happen the step after he went across the bag, it looked like to me. Because he hit with his left foot. He hit the bag with his left foot, as you can see right here. Actually, the step before he got there, I think. The step before he got to the bag.
Ortiz to center field. David Lowe going back, going to be over his head, and it is gone. 2-run home run for Big Papi, and the Red Sox have now taken a 5-1 lead. It's been a 5-run bottom of the 6th inning.
I'll tell you what, that ball did not take long at all to get out of Fenway Park to center field.
Five to 1, Red Sox on top. Napoli's first at bat of the night.
Another look at the Ortiz home run. They want to go away. It stays down, middle of the plate, and Ortiz goes right with it, right back up the middle. Right into the center field bleachers.
Now Napoli taking a pitch inside, 2-0. For every home run the Red Sox hit the rest of the season, Alltown will donate $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. Alltown is New England's premier healthier convenience retailer. 5th homer in the last 13 games for Big Papi.
Goes back and watch that on video. He's going to love that swing. Location of the fastball was down. He's right down with it, and the kind of a line drive home run.
Action in the Orioles pen for the first time. Brian Mattis up, the left-hander warming. Norris had 5 shutout innings coming into this, the bottom of the 6th. A couple of errors in the inning, but he has allowed so far to this point 5 runs. Now Napoli has a full count, 3-2. Still only 1 out in the inning. Napoli strikes out looking for the 2nd out of the inning. Strikeout number 3 for Norris.
Yeah, fastball to the outside part of the plate again, staying away from Napoli, and that time he takes it. He has certainly been having his problems recently with the strikeout.
2 down in the 6th, then it brings up Xander Bogaerts. He's grounded into a double play last time up, single to right. Five runs, 6 hits, no errors for Boston now. A run, 7 hits, 2 errors for Baltimore. Bogaerts, the 8th member of the Red Sox to bat in the inning. Swing and a miss, 1-2. .88 pitches tonight, past his average. Chopped up over the mound. Second baseman Ryan Flaherty is going to be late on the throw, and it's a base hit for Bogaerts, his 2nd of the night.
The first base hit was a painful one for Hanley Ramirez, as it looks like he caught it off the hand or the wrist. This time not hit hard enough for Flaherty to be able to get there in time and make the out. So that's going to be it for Norris on the evening.
Well, he gives up 5 runs in the 6th inning so far, responsible for the runner at first. The complexion of this one has changed. 5-1 Red Sox. Pablo Sandoval batting with a runner at first and 2 outs. A swing and a miss for strike 1. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Kia. Ryan Mattis into the game for Bud Norris. And that's his 22nd appearance, 1-2 with a 2.74 earned run average, 23 strikeouts. Sandoval, the 9th member of the Red Sox to bat in the inning, takes strike 2. Mattis has only allowed 1 earned run over his last 9 outings, 8 2/3. Norris was pitching great tonight through the first 5. Runs into some trouble here in the 6th inning. Sandoval grounds it to first base. Davis will take it himself to the bag and end the inning. Well, a big inning for Boston. They score 5 times, including Big Papi with home run number 11 of the year. for Red Sox Final presented by Uno's. Adam Pellerin and Steve Lyons will preview tomorrow's final game of this series against the Orioles. Well, it's the 7th inning. Buchholz had a 27-minute wait, and now he's got a 5-1 lead. Travis Shaw takes over in left field. And moving from left field, Brock Holt to second base. So Holt has played first base, left field, and second base in this game. The injuries to Ramirez, who left the game with a left hand contusion, so no fracture, which is certainly good news for the Red Sox after the x-ray of that hand that was hit on the line drive by Xander Bogaerts off the hand of Hanley Ramirez. And left hand contusion. No word yet on Dustin Pedroia. Ryan Flaherty swings at the 2-0 and fouls it off to the left out of play. Flaherty tonight has singled to right and grounded into a double play. Another foul, 2-2. In the air to left field. Shaw going over towards the corner. That's going to be into the corner on a hop off the wall, and into second base goes Flaherty with a double to begin the 7th inning.
And Flaherty picks up his second hit of the ball game. Had a base hit back in the 3rd inning, and now going the other way. And Shaw looked a little bit uncertain here as that ball's tailing away from him. You see him stop, thinking that the ball is going to be off the wall, then continues on and actually bounces, I think, before it hit the wall.
So Flaherty with a double to begin things here in the 7th. Caleb Joseph 0 for 2. And what about the 27-minute wait for Clay Buchholz? What kind of impact that'll have? Orioles catcher has fly to right, struck out swinging. Oh, a foul tip makes it 0-2. It's a piece of Leon. Swing and a miss, and a tough at bat for Joseph. Buchholz gets him for the first out of the 7th inning. It's time for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Adam? All right, Adam, thanks very much. Here it is, 5-1. Red Sox have the lead. Game 2 of the 3-game series against the Baltimore Orioles. And here's David Lowe, number 9 man. As Buchholz gets strike 1 over. He has struck him out twice already tonight.
That hit that Estrada gave up in that Tampa Bay game was just a bouncer to Donaldson at third base. A high bouncer. And he just beat it out at first base.
On the phone there momentarily was Carl Willis to the pen. Now one pitch popped up foul over by the Orioles dugout. Buchholz with 7 strikeouts in this game. He's got Lowe twice, once looking, once swinging. There is action behind him now. Looks like Tazawa is getting up.
Whoa. Where's that? his pitch is right. I mean, right there.
On the ground towards first base. Napoli will take it himself with his second out as Flaherty takes third base. Well, coming up after this third out of this inning, we'll have more stats, facts, and fantasy updates from around Major League Baseball. Be sure and stay with us. 2 outs in the inning. Flaherty now at third. Manny Machado coming up with Flaherty at third base. Machado singled the center field in the first inning, grounded out to third in the third, grounded out to short in the fifth. Pitch in the dirt from Buchholz for ball one. Flaherty gaining his walking lead off the bag at third. Two and 0. Line to short, a screaming line drive reeled in by Bogaerts to end the inning. Let's take a look at the updated Red Sox box score. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And Clay Buchholz at the end of that last inning went up to John Farrell, and I think that may be it for him.
Yeah, I think that was going to be it for him anyway. Clay telling him that he's probably had enough in this ball game, and I think they've got to go to Tazawa anyway. In the 8th inning, Buchholz up over 100 pitches in the game.
Alejandro De Aza leading it off here in the 7th inning. Mattis back on the mound for the Orioles. And that'll just miss outside. 2-0. This came in relief of Bud Norris. Able to get the final out of the 6th inning, and he's back out there for the bottom of the 7th. Oh, pop-up foul off to the left out of play. Sandy Leon on deck, then Mookie Betts expected here in the bottom of the 7th inning. There's a strike, and it's 2-2. Bud Norris tonight, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 5 runs, none earned. Walked a batter and struck out 3. 2 errors in that inning. They've gone. They check. No, says Tim Timmons.
Get a look from the side. Very close.
Another foul off to the left by Diaza. Fly to right, reached on an error, and scored the first Red Sox run in that 5-run 6th inning. In on the hand, and down goes Diaza, hit with a pitch. And John Farrell coming out again with Masai Takahashi, another Red Sox trainer, another injured Red Sox player.
He's had a tough night, Diaza. He's got stepped on at first base. He got that one off the hand. This has been a painful night for the Red Sox. Hanley Ramirez, Dustin Pedroia, Diaza twice. Go back early in the ball game where he gets stepped on. That is on the left hand, and I believe this one also was on the left hand. Yes, or wrist.
Two stays in the game here, first base. But tomorrow at 12:30, don't miss Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. Adam Pellerin and Steve Lyons will preview Eduardo Rodriguez's start against the Orioles. Here is Sandy Leon, who struck out in the 3rd, reached on an error in the 6th inning. Orioles at double play depth with nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Fouled off just in front of the Red Sox dugout. On the ground foul the other way this time, still 0-2. And it's a guy that can go multiple innings for Buck Showalter. Top of the order for the Red Sox, Mookie Betts waiting on deck. Outside for ball 1. And it's hitting Diaza to begin things here in the 7th. Now Leon with a count of 1-2. Inside out swing and a foul off to the right out of play.
Nesson camera is being used as a punching bag.
One-two is low, and it is 2-2. Swing and a miss, and Leon strikes out for the first out of the inning. For what's ahead tonight on NESN Sports Today, let's go live to Sarah Davis in Las Vegas covering the NHL awards. Sarah?
Yeah, Don, the odds definitely stacked in Patrice Bergeron's favor tonight. He won the Selke Trophy for his second consecutive year. Coming up on NESN Sports Today tonight, we're going to have his very happy reaction.
NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman announced some new rule changes today. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, some changes to the overtime format next season. He also talked about expansion, but to find out more about details on expansion, you'll have to watch NESN Sports Today tonight.
All right, Sarah, thanks very much. 1 out, 1 on, and Mookie Betts with a count of 1-0. Betts has fly to right, popped out to second base, and single to drive in a run. May have gone around. One pitch is high, and it's 2-1. Outfield set up straight away here on Mookie Betts. That's in there for strike 2. He's thrown 21 pitches, 13 for a strike, 62% strike so far out of a good Baltimore pen. Starter tonight giving him 5 2/3. Fouled off to the right, out of play.
Mookie Betts drove in that first Red Sox run last time up after a couple of gifts from the Orioles in that inning. A very rare bad defense by Baltimore.
To center field. David Lowe going back and over to make the catch for the second out, and back to first goes De Aza. Well, tomorrow at 1, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. Alex Spear will stop by to talk about the state of the Red Sox. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? 2 down here in the 7th inning with De Aza at first base and Brock Holt the batter. Brock has grounded out to second, walked, and grounded out to first. Fouled off into the seats.
Brock Holt's been all over the field tonight. First base, left field, now second base. But back in the 4th inning at first base, makes a fine play. That ball gets by him, tags the bag, and watch the throw. It's inside the runner. Bogart's able to make the tag at second base. Became a tag play. So he has been very involved defensively everywhere tonight.
Now sliding across to block that is Caleb Joseph. Orioles with further action. Michael Gibbons up in the pen. Holt pops it up left side of the infield. Manny Machado steps into foul ground and puts it away to end the 7th inning. 5-1 Boston as we head to the 8th. Boston Red Sox baseball on NESN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Your local Subaru dealers. And by the Kia Sorrento. 5-1. Red Sox have the lead over the Baltimore Orioles as we head to the top of the 8th inning. It's time now for tonight's T-Mobile game changer performance, and it's the performance of Clay Buchholz, who pitched well tonight, Jared.
7 strikeouts in the ball game. We'll take a look at the last 4. There's a good changeup by Buchholz. Excellent stuff in this game tonight. Really in command of all of his pitches. His fastball, his cut fastball, the curveball, the changeup. Excellent outing by Buchholz.
That's the 1 run in 7 innings pitched. He walks 1 batter. That was in the first inning. Struck out 7, and now Junichi Tozawa makes his 34th appearance. 0-3, 2.97 earned run average. 29 strikeouts, 6 walks. Opponents hitting at 226 against Tozawa. Chris Parmelee leading it off and fouling off the first pitch. Tozawa throwing a scoreless 8th inning with a hit and a strikeout in Sunday's victory at Kansas City. Did not appear in the first game of this series last night. More action for the Red Sox, and for the first time as a reliever this year for the Red Sox. Well, he was up. Justin Masterson was tossing. In the dirt, and it's 1-1. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Good split thinking fastball that time by Tozawa, keeping it down and away and just a little bit out of the strike zone. See the rotation on the splitter.
Two balls, 2 strikes now to Chris Parmelee.
Tries to change his eye level there by going back upstairs with the fastball, but Parmelee not biting.
Fouled off to the left into the grandstand area. Dustin Pedroia leaving the game with right hamstring tightness. Again, right hamstring tightness for Dustin Pedroia. That is strike 3, and the first strikeout for Tazawa, 1 down.
That's one as a hitter where you just pretty much tip your cap. I mean, that's a perfect pitch by Tazawa. Fastball outside corner. All you can hope to do if you swing at it is foul it off.
For every strikeout by a Red Sox pitcher at Fenway Park in June, Aetna will donate $250 to Boston Healthcare for the homeless program. Aetna is helping to build a healthier world, one city and one strikeout at a time. 1 out in the 8th inning for Jimmy Paredes. 2-hit night. He was singled twice to right, fouled out to the catcher Sandy Leon. And he'll take strike 1. Strike 2.
Well, that location right there, so far for Tazawa in this inning. Another nasty fastball down in the zone. Started him off with a split-fingered fastball, then back to the straight fastball.
Clay Buchholz tonight, 7 innings, 1 run, struck out 7, and vying for his 5th win of the year with 4 and 6 coming into tonight's outing. Another good outing for Clay tonight. Hoping the bullpen can help him out here. Tazawa first out of the pen here in the 8th inning. Struck out Parmalee, now ahead of Paredes, 1 and 2. Wow.
Boy, there have been a couple that have certainly not gone the Red Sox way tonight. Wants to go upstairs and in with the fastball, gets it right to the location where the mitt was set up, and does not get the call.
Swing and a miss, and Tazawa with back-to-back Ks in the 8th inning.
First strikeout came with a fastball. Second strikeout comes with the split-fingered fastball. Good movement on that one, too. Down and away. See that late movement moving away from the left-handed hitter.
Two down here in the 8th, and it brings up Chris Davis. Walk, a fly out to center. An RBI single in the 6th inning, which at the time broke the scoreless tie, put the Orioles on top 1-0. And the Red Sox would answer quickly with 5 in their half of the 6th inning. No 1 to Davis. And it's 0-2 now. Have a son or daughter who wants to learn more about baseball or the Red Sox? Visit NESSENClubhouse.com. It has videos, games, and a whole lot more. It's fun, free, and easy to use. Visit NESSENClubhouse.com today. 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Chris Davis down 0-2.
Sandoval moves to the right side of the infield. Bogart's back at shortstop.
Swing and a miss. Tazawa strikes out the side in succession. We head to the bottom of the 8th, 5-1 Boston.
lead, and look how they got the 5-run lead. A couple of unusual errors by the Orioles. The first one on De Azer, he got stepped on at first base. Then a sacrifice by Leon. They give the pitcher an error on that. Mookie Betts takes the ball to the opposite field to drive in the run. Pedroia on a breaking ball drives in 2 runs. Unfortunately, he got hurt on that play. And then Big Papi straightaway center field with the home run.
Five to 1. Red Sox have the lead as a pitch fouled off here by Travis Shaw. Major League debut for Michael Gibbons coming into the game here. Season at Double-A with the Bowie Bay Sox in 23 games, 3-1 with a 1.60 earned run average. Contract taken from Double-A June 20th in his first Major League game, and this is outside, making the jump from Double-A. '87 career minor league games as a pitcher. This is into the shift and in short right. Flaherty throws out Shaw for the first out here of the 8th inning. H.B. Hood salutes the Red Sox Foundation for its commitment to 4,900 accredited charities throughout New England. And Koji Uehara warms in the Red Sox pen. On-save situation, but the Red Sox have the win lined up here with Tozawa in the 8th and Uehara for the 9th. David Ortiz has struck out, grounded out, and homered. David hit a 2-run shot in the 6th inning, part of the 5-run 6th inning for Boston. Staying in the shift here as they did for Shaw. They do the same for Ortiz.
Let's take a look at the location of the pitch that David hit for a home run. It was a fastball, and it was right down the middle of the plate. They wanted to go away with the fastball, but look where it ends up. Right down the middle, and David Ortiz to straightaway center field. That ball about knee-high middle.
Chopped to first, knocked down by Davis. He'll have time to recover and tag the bag for the inning's 2nd out. Bob's Discount Furniture goes to bat for the Jimmy Fund again this year. Bob will donate $1,000 to the Jimmy Fund for every game saved this season. Everybody saves at Bob's. Bob's Discount Furniture, quality, choice, and value. Learn more at mybobs.com. Uehara doing some stretching, some jumping, bounce around. 2 down here in the 8th. Like Napoli struck out last time up. Came into the game playing defensively at first base after Brock Holt had started the game at first base. Had to go to left field, and Hanley Ramirez came out with the left hand contusion. Again, Ramirez leaving with a left hand contusion. No fracture. That's good news. And a liner off his hand from Bogarts, and Dustin Pedroia leaving the game with right hamstring tightness. 1-1. Strike 2. Swing and a miss, and Napoli strikes out both of his at-bats tonight. We head to the 9th. It is Koji time at Fenway. Well, Bud Norris went 5 2/3 before he ran into trouble, giving him 5 runs. None of them were earned. All happened in the 6th inning, while Clay Buchholz 7 innings, 1 run. And he struck out 7 along the way as David Ortiz gets his 11th home run of the year. 1 for 4 tonight. Red Sox have a 5-1 lead headed to the top of the 9th inning. Koji Uehara into the game for Boston. His 27th appearance, 2-3 with a 3.52 earned run average. 14 out of 16 in save opportunities. This is not a save opportunity. Opponent's hitting at .236 against Uehara. Enters the game with a 4-run lead. And here is J.J. Hardy, who takes strike 1. Nice inning by Tazawa. He worked the 8th. A 1-2-3 inning, 3 strikeouts. Parmelee, Paredes, and Davis all down by way of the K. Red Sox pitching with 10 strikeouts in this game. 7 for Buchholz, 3 for Tazawa, as Uehara takes over here for the 9th. And walk around the mound counterclockwise. One. Travis Snyder waiting on deck. And a swing and a miss to even the count at 2-2. Hardy with a 1 for 8 mark against Uehara in his career. 2 strikeouts. And a ground ball to third base. Sandoval's got it. 1 down in the 9th. Let's take a look at the Toyota play of the game. Straightaway center field for David Ortiz, his 11th home run of the year. Give the Red Sox the 5-1 advantage with that 2-run shot. One down in the 9th for Travis Snyder. He'll take strike 1. That has not been a pitch that's been called a strike tonight, but it was that time. Fouled off to the left, 1-2. We're calling all Bruins fans. Bruins summer face-off live begins tomorrow. Billy Jaffe and Barry Peterson will review the NHL awards and look ahead to the NHL draft. Bruins summer face-off live kicks off tomorrow at 6. 1-2 pitch is a little high, 2-2. This one lined to second, and Brock Holt for out number 2 of the 9th inning. So 2 down, and Ryan Flaherty coming up. Flaherty singled to right in the 2nd, grounded into a double play in the 4th, doubled in the 7th. So a 2-hit night for Flaherty. Joins Jimmy Paredes, who also had a multi-hit effort tonight for Baltimore. They bang out 8 hits, actually more hits than the Red Sox have. Austin with 7 hits on the night. Strike 2.
Uehara working this 9th inning like it's a 1-run ball game.
Hey, struck him out, and the Red Sox win. A 1-2-3 9th inning for Koji Uehara, and the Red Sox beat the Orioles tonight 5-1 at Fenway Park. We'll step aside and come back with more after this.